Okay guys, welcome back. So in this very video I'll be showing you how to draft your upper body, that's the hoodie area. But this is the main block aside the hoodie. So first thing first we'll be doing is we want to use the top length of 31 since the person in question is quite tall, but we're using a band of 3 inches. So I'm going to keep 3 inches out this way. Then I take my top length of 31, but just for clarity purpose I would have to add an extra 1 inches for all joining purposes. So with that established, I'll be taking a neck of 4.5 since this is going to be for a hoodie, not like a basic block. I'll be using 4.5 by a depth of 3 or 3.5. This is because this person is a bit wide, but if it's for someone smaller we could use 3.5 for that. Now for the depth I use 3.5, but for someone smaller I would use at least 3. So now coming to the neck area, the person's neck measurement is 17, which in normal circumstances should be 8.5, then at most 9 with sewing allowance. But what we'll do is we first mark out 8.5, then we add 1 inch to it before adding our half inches. So give or take, the shoulder has an addition of 1 inch to it on both sides. Remember, this is not just like every normal basic block. So then I go ahead to slope my shoulder, then I make my curve here. Now coming to the body. Okay, let me explain the sleeves, the armhole area first. For the armhole, we could use our standard armhole measurement of the original shoulder divided by 2 plus half inches, which for this person will be 8.5. But if we still want freedom, because this is for a hoodie, we would use 9. Remember, this is not basic bodies that needs to be fitted, so we will use 9 here. Then coming to the body, instead of using the bust and the rest of it, her bust is 40 while her hips is 44, so we'll be using the fullest part, which is her hips, which is 11. Then I'll be adding my sewing allowance of 2 inches, but at the point of sewing I'll be sewing only by half or 1 inch, so as to give me enough freedom in the body. So I'll go ahead to look for the median of 9, which is 4.5, and I go in by half or 1 inch, and then I connect this way. You could do it by freehand or with your pattern. Then we proceed to cutting it out. Then we now go for the back block. So it's quite easy and it's quite simple. So I'll cut this out. Now for the nature of this fabric I am using, there won't be need for a lining. Most joggers and hoodie are mostly made of something solid and thick because it's to withstand the cold, so there won't be need for lining. Lining comes into play if you're making with ankaras or any lighter fabric. So we have this, and I would remove my neck. So with that done, I have this, and I'll just proceed for the back block. Thank you. Okay guys, welcome back. So we want to draft the back block for our hoodie block. So it's actually very simple, and the only difference between the front block and the back block is that for the back block you take a neck depth of 1 inches, which is what I have done, and I would indicate it. Now I want to quickly add something. For the front, you could deepen it up to even 4 or 4.5, depending on how deep you want it to be, because remember, this is not like every normal block. So you could deepen it even up to this area. Remember the deepening for the back uses the same width as the front, but the depth is just by 1 inches. Then you go ahead to do this and you cut it all the way through. Now before I go further, I would have to measure whatever I have here to determine my sleeve. I have 12 here, so 12 would be my armhole for what I want to use for my sleeves. So I'll cut it through, then I'll proceed to drafting my sleeves. So we have this, and we'll proceed to drafting my sleeves, and we are on it. Hey, good evening guys. Today I'll be showing you how to draft a joggers, and quick one, I'll be showing you what to do. So first thing first, I'll be marking 2 inches out here, because for these joggers I will be using a 2 inches elastic for the waist. So I'll be marking 2 inches out here. Unlike the other trouser block I showed you that we used 1 inches, because the band we would use 1.2 inches, but since I'm going to use 2 inches elastic here, I'm taking 2 inches of it. Then I would now measure out my length. However, please note that when taking the trouser length, instead of using exactly the trouser length, which for this person is 39.5, you would be subtracting 4 inches from the trouser length, which will be replaced with the band. So my subtracting 4 inches for a trouser length of 39.5 will now give us 35.5. So with half inches sewing allowance, it becomes 36. So I would mark that point out, and I would draw a line in that area. So quick one, I'll come back to the waist area. Now, unlike a conventional trouser block, it is optional to give a curve at the side or just make it a straight block, but I still like giving my trousers or my joggers a little shape. So for a lady, I would just mark 2 inches here, then at the point of 10 or 9, but for this person I'm using 10. Now I'm going to mark here, then I'll quickly connect this point. Then at the knee area, I will be marking 1.5 inches in, 1.5 inches in here. Then I'll go ahead to connect it to have a shape. Please remember that it is just optional. You could just make it go straight all the way down, but it's still very nice, since it's for a lady, to make it have a little shape at the side. Once we've done that, I connect it, and I have my side block intact. So next thing I would be doing is mark out my waist measurement. I'll be marking out my waist measurement, which, as I told you, was that when it comes to stuffs like this, we do not use the original waist measurement, rather we will use the hips measurement. And for this person, we will be working with the hips of 44, which here automatically becomes 11 plus 1 inches, this is 12. So I'm now mark out 12. Now I drop by 1 inch here. and I'll connect all the way up. I drop by 1 inch, then I'll connect all the way up. So this is what I get to do. I connect all the way up. Now all together for this area I'll now have 12, and I don't mind coming down up to 12 here. Remember, unlike standard trousers, the crotch for joggers most times are slightly loosed. So I'll be connecting here directly, then I'll now mark out my hips. For this client to be working with a lapse of 28, which divided by 2 is 14, which I'll be marking out here. Or I could just take 2 inches, and then I come up here by 2 inches and I mark. So I connect in my right angle positions, and I have this. So you could just go ahead to confirm your measurements to see what becomes of it. Now if we're confirming from this point, we have exactly what we were looking for. We have exactly 16 for the front, which is what is. So okay guys, so coming back to this point, we had our lapse measurement here for 24, which was this, which was a 14, and I added at least half an inches. And when we checked this out, we had complete 16. We had a complete lapse of 16, a complete crouch of 16 here. So quick one, would go to the leg area. Now the leg of a joggers is not like every other leg. It has to be wide, then the pull or the elastic that you'll be using for the down part is what will now drag it in. So if I want to have something wide enough for this lady, I can choose to use 9, which is 18, so that by the time the elastic drags it in, would have a perfect fold and it will make it big. But if you want something small, you could still go ahead to using 8, which is 16 or thereabouts. So all you have to do at this point is connect your block to meet with the upper part, and with that established, all you have to do is go ahead to cut out and then proceed for the back block. So I'll quickly go ahead to cut this out, and then I'll go ahead to make my back draft. So it's that simple and very easy, as long as you have a proper understanding of how to draft a trouser block. So next video will be how to draft the back block, and then we'll proceed to drafting a hoodie. Hey guys, welcome back. So quick one, I'll be taking you through how to get the back block done. Just like in every other trousers, we come down by ½ inches here and we mark our line out, and conventionally, as we usually do, we mark 3 inches here. Then coming to this angle, we take 2 inches, then we mark 2 inches here, and when we get here, we use up to 3 inches. Now, as I said in the trouser class, then you connect. It is always wise most times to measure up once you're done, to be sure that it aligns with the crouch measurement you took for the person. So let's check it out to see. The back crouch of this person is supposed to be 18. So now we have about 17 here. So with 2 inches band, we'll now have about 19, which with the whole sewing of ½ inches here and ½ inches here, we'll have a perfect crouch of 18 for this person. So right about now, we'll come to this other area, add your 2 inches sewing allowance here, you add and you add, and once that's done, you connect, and quick one, your block is ready. Don't forget that from this other area you would always slope down. Always slope down. Remember, this is the high point of the back rise, then you slope down to meet with this other part at the waist area. Once you have done that, your back block is ready. So all you have to do is cut out and you are good to go. So basically that's how to draft a back block for a joggers or anything trousers. So thank you so much for watching. I remain your teacher and friend, Uncle Tunas. Bye. Okay guys, so next video is I'm showing you how to draft your sleeves, and basically just like the principle we used for the upper body and also for the lower body. Since I'll be using a band of 4 inches for the hand, I will be subtracting the 4 inches from the total sleeve length. We're supposed to work with a sleeve length of 25, which is here, but I'll be using 26. That's with an added sewing allowance of 1 inch. We had a armhole of 12, which this is 12. I indicate here you come in by 4 inches, just like this, and then you connect all the way up. So I'll go ahead to do this. Then coming to the rounding, the standard rounding is always around 9, but for the purpose of what we are doing, we might have to take up to 7, which is 14, just to have a big hand. Since the cloth on its own is not fitted, then we now connect it to meet up with the armhole area. So once I do this and we are done, we can now use this one to replicate for the other hand. Once you've done that, your both sleeves are ready, and then you can now prepare them. So it's quite easy, it's quite simple. You could use a sleeve cutting technique of your choice, but this is the most recommended one. Works well for me. And Viola, you're good to go. So thank you so much for watching. Okay guys, welcome back. So I'll be showing you quickly how to draft the hoodie part of this stuff, but I'll be using the freehand method. So first thing first I want to do is I'm going to measure the circumference around this neck. Now if you look at my neck, using the measurement I used, it's quite big because I wanted the hoodie of my own clothes to be a big, but you could make it smaller depending on your choice, but it's better when it's freer. So first thing I'll do is I'm going to measure all the way around to have the circumference of what I want. So for this I have 29 and a half. I have 29 and a half. So that's kept aside. I'll go into drafting properly for my hoodie. Now, the hoodie I'll be showing you how to make is a 2-piece hoodie. So it's quite easy and won't really take much of a time. So I'll be doing this. Now when it comes to hoodie drafting, we have the how long you would want your hoodie to be and how wide you would want it to be on the side. So to enable us to do that, for me I want my hoodie to be as long as 13, as long as 13, so that it could fall properly to the back. So this is my 13, so I'll draw a line on my 13, and I'll take it all this way up. But before you take it, and I'll also draw on this side, so that means I've drawn my horizontal line and my vertical line. So at this point we had 29.5, so 29.5 divided by 2, 29.5 divided by 2, we have this. So that means the base should be up to 29, and it should be 29 divided by 2. So this is where we have it. Remember to go ahead to add ½ inches, which will now be for the sewing, because I told you this is a 2-piece hood. So I now have this. Now this is determined by how high I want my hoodie to be, like the head rise. Then this area could be determined by the person's round head circumference, but you could also use freehand. So if you get the person's round head circumference, for example, if we're looking for a head of 23, that would be 11.5, but you cannot just make it that fitted. You would have to extend it out a bit. So once I have me, I would go for 13 to make it loose. So you connect from this point to that point, and then you take it all the way in. Whatever happens, this area should be up to what you want for your neck width. So if you could, as you can see, I connected from this point to the head circumference divided by 2, but remember it has to have up to like 2 inches east from the original measurement. So I extended mine by that. So I have this, I took from this point up to this point. I don't know if you could see it clearly, but I took from this point up to here, then I connected it back to the head circumference on this area. So that's how I got my hoodie part drafted out. But when I'm cutting, I would be adding ½ inch on this area all the way up, and I would cut out. So basically that's how easy and simple it is to get your hoodie cut out. So next video I'll show you how to join it and attach it to the main body. Thank you so much for watching. I remember your teacher and friend, Uncle Tunas. Bye. Okay, welcome back guys. So this is it. I joined this area together. So this is, we have this. You see our hoodie is gradually picking shape. Now I want to make emphasis on something. Now when I refer to this as my head rise, it's the distance from your neck to how high you would want the hoodie to be on your body. And I also explained this area of the hoodie to you. So once I've done this, I have this. But at this point, if you keep it this way and just attach it, you won't have a very nice hoodie. So what we will be doing is, at this area, we would come in by 1 or 2 inches here in the middle. So we'll come to this area, the top line area, connect to that point, and then we'll connect back to the beginning area. You could take it as deep as you would want, but make sure here is not straight. So I'll go ahead to cut quickly. Do not tamper with the measurement at this area, just going by 2 or how deep you would want it, and you cut. But at least for a maximum, it should not exceed 3. So I have this. You could still smoothen this up just a bit, but do not touch this area as it would affect your head circumference. Do not touch this area as it would affect the head circumference. You could touch this area, but do not touch this area as it would affect your head circumference. So once this is done, I will take it to my sewing machine and I would bend on this area all the way around before attaching this to my hoodie. So I hope this was simple and very explanatory, and I'll see you in the next class. Bye. Okay guys, welcome back. So quick one, I attached my pockets and so I attached my pocket and I had to run a thread in on it so that we could have a segment on both sides. So once I closed the edge of my pocket, I ran a thread on this area so that I could partition the pocket for me. I just went ahead to close up the sides on both sides and we are good to go. Then one other thing I did to the draft was I top stitched on my neck. After sewing it inside and weaving, I top stitched on my neck area. Remember I said it's for an Ankara, this would be buried between the Ankara and your lining. So next thing I'll be doing is to measure whatever I have here at the hem of this top. Then that is where my polo material would come in. Remember, when using the polo to make the band for the down, it needs to be the side that stretches the most. It needs to be the side that stretches the most. And whatever you have, if you have 40, we're going to minus 40. We're going to minus 6 from that 40 for the band. So anything I have here, I would minus that. Then coming to this one, remember we subtracted 8 from the 4 from the normal length, but in this case when we want to cut, we will fold this into 2, then mark 4.5, which if we open up is 9, but unfold would be 4.5. The extent of that half is so that we have a sewing allowance to sew to the main body. Once I'm done with that, I'll do same for the hand, then we will be done with the top. It's that easy, simple and nice. So stay with me. So welcome back guys. So what I had here, I measured out 24, which in turn is 48. But what I told you is that you minus between 4 to 6 inches from the original length of whatever you have. So here I have 48 minus 6, which gave me 42. Then I added 1 inch sewing allowance to it so that here can be half, here can be half, and this other side half. So the next thing I'll do is to sew by ½ inches so that I can turn the base. I'll sew by ½ inches so that I can turn the base. And I'm sewing by ½ inches. Once I've done that, I will trim this so that every side can be equal. So once I've trimmed that, this is what I have. So if you're turning it out and you fold it into 2. So once you've done that, you would have this. So remember, this is bent into 2 to have a single band, just like this. It's not a single band. So I would reach out for my fabric, the men hoodie, look for a convenient point to start with, and I would sew from that point. Remember, as you are sewing, you will be dragging the polo so that it can cover everywhere. So I'll be starting at this point. If you weave at this point, it would stop the polo from stretching. So it's preferably you do it after you have sewn. So you start at this point and you sew. While you sew, you drag. while you sew, you drag so that you can accommodate everything you would want to do. I said as you sew, you drag your polo material so that it can reach exactly with the circumference of the lower part of this jacket. Remember, we subtracted 6 inches of this circumference when we were making this. So guys, once I've done that, you see this is it. I've joined both with it, and we have our down block ready. So our hood is gradually coming out. This is it for the lower part, and you see it because I shortened the band when I was preparing it, it's giving that fold like effect you usually see on hoods on every side of it. It's giving that fold. So this area is done. So next thing I'll be showing you, it's the hand area. Stay with me. Alright guys, welcome back. So we want to handle the sleeves now. So just like we did for the down part, we'll first measure what we have here. This is 6.5, which is equals to 13. So we now come to our fabric unfold. For 6.5, we might have to reduce it a bit just to get that effect. So for this, we might have to use 3.5 or 4 just to have that effect. So we'll be working with this. For 6.5, reduced to 4 so that we could have that stretch feeling. And just like in the other one, I would sew by this point, then I now fold this into a single band. So follow me. So I'm sewing by where I had my 4.5. Then once I've done that, I'll cut out the excess I have here. Now I have something like this. All I'll have to do is open here up, then open here up, then I fold it to become one piece. Once it becomes one piece, I bring my sleeves out. Now, unlike the down parts, this is how we go about this one. With this area aligning with this area, the both joining area should align. You fix it in this way. You fix it in this way. Then once you've had it stable, you can start to sew here. The sleeve was fixed this way in to the band, and it's not fixed in between. See, there's still a space here. It's fixed in this way. Then you open up all the sewing areas and you would start sewing. If it were for an Ankara that with lining, these would have been fixed in between the lining and the Ankara for sewing, so that all the rough edges would be concealed inside. Because of the nature of the fabric we're working with, we will not be using a lining for this one. So I'll go ahead to sew by 1/2 inch. So sew, and while we sew, we would be dragging slightly, since the band is shorter than the main fabric, just to give that drag and stretch feel you always see at the hands and band parts of your jogger, of your hoodies. So I'll be doing this, and I'll keep dragging till both of them can accommodate each other. So with that, we've done our hands. See how beautiful it is. We have it all out and looking all nice. See it's aligned on this area, and we have the sleeves for it. So I'll go ahead to do it with the other hand, then we would be done for the upper part. So it's that easy, simple and nice. I'll drop a full and clear picture of the final job when fixed on a mannequin. So thank you so much for watching. God bless you. Okay, welcome back guys. So I've joined my neck. So next thing I want to do is attach my hood to the neck part. So I had to open this point over, I notched it open so that I could start from this point and terminate at this point. But in all that you do well to ensure that the hood overlaps itself at the ending point. So I'll quickly go into the sewing process of it, and to make that happen, I'll be sewing outside in, that's on the outside, and I'll sew in. So I'll quickly go into that sewing process and you would get to see the result. So guys, as you could see, we have our hoodie fixed in already. Now if it was going to be an Ankara that had the lining, we would have had to sew this into our Ankara between the lining and the fabric, but since this is already a very thick fabric, I just had to sew it directly. So we'll finish this up with a same color weaving, or we could use a bias to cover this to the other side and top stitch on this area. So with that, we have this done, and we'll quickly proceed to fixing our sleeves so that we could close it up. So I have my sleeves, and I'm going to start from this end and I'll close all the way to the other end, so that you could see. So guys, I have my sleeves joined already to it. So next thing I'll be looking at is getting my pockets. Now I prepared a pocket already. The dimension, I will drop it through a picture for you all to see the dimension of which that I use, and I had to use this same fabric for the facing of the pocket. So I'll go ahead and top stitch. So now this is the pocket, and this area is going to be bent by half an inch, but I will not have to bend this lower part because it's going to be sunk into the band I will be putting for this. So to make it look neat and clean, I'll go ahead to top stitch on the area to give it a clean finish before I now install it to my hoodie. So guys, quick one, I've done this. So with the aid of, so guys, the pocket is here. So with the aid of a pin, I will attach it to the center of this and I'll go ahead to sew. So after that, I'll close the sides, then we can proceed to fixing the band.